In this video, I walk through the Foundations of Well-Being course that Rick Hanson, a best-selling author on the science of happiness, offers online. So right now you're seeing what the inside homepage of the video course looks like for me. So basically you have different paths you can take to achieve the 12 pillars of happiness. So um, the main area you'll probably be looking at is the last completed next on your path, just right when you log in. And most of the time you'll just be clicking on what's next on your path, and that usually takes you to some video of some sort to watch. So currently I'm watching this one by Tara Brock. It's an interview between uh, between her and Rick, and Rick has a very extensive network, and Tara Brock is very well known in her industry. She's a meditation teacher and clinical psychologist. So you can also download the audio or transcript or video, and once you're done, you can go ahead and just go to the next video on your pathway, and it will complete that one. You also can write a comment here and respond to others if you like. So there is a community of people here who do talk about this, and then you can mark it completed, so or favorite it in case you want to come back to it. So the whole course is mostly video. Sometimes it'll be like an exercise that you have to complete or a downloadable text document. But usually, as you can see here, they are videos. And of course, you can kind of track your progress down here. So there's a ton of different pathways that you follow sequentially, starting with self-caring. And so there's tons of content. I would think you would probably need at least half a year to complete this whole thing, working a couple days a week minimum. I've barely made a dent in it, and I've gone through quite a few of these videos. Um, the one thing I think could be better is that uh, there's a bit too much quantity. The quality is good, the quantity is a bit too much, and I think many video course teachers have this impression that the more videos that you add into a course, the better, because it means that you put more work into it. But um, the student doesn't always have time to go through 100 hours of video content. So that is something that is on your mind, but of course, you can download it and put it on your phone for when you're on the go. Now, what else is offered? Well, if you want to jump straight to a resource and rather than do it sequentially on a pathway, you could go to the resources drop down, and there's quizzes, talks, practices, interviews, creative activities, bonus topics, archived live Q&As, um, stuff in Spanish, and other test questions you can take. I recently just took a quiz on self-compassion, and the quizzes are actually really good. They're very digestible. They're only 10 questions long, or at least the ones I've taken are. So I like these because they're bite-sized, and they're empathetic to the fact that we don't have our whole lives to take a 500 question quiz. So, for example, I took the self-compassion one, and um, I can wait until I get to the self-compassion portion of this path system, but I just wanted to see where I scored now, and I don't want to wait. So I just jumped straight to the quiz, and I found out that I scored in the middle. So after taking those 10 questions, turns out I scored right in the middle of the grading system. So there's like three breakdowns: poor, good, and great. And I scored good. So that tells me I still have a lot of room for improvement, but I'm not doing horrible in the self-compassion area, and that could be something I should focus on. So it's a nice, cool thing to figure out one area that I had been looking to improve, to figure out how I stand. Of course, there's all sorts of other stuff that you may have heard of in your research of happiness. So there's mindfulness quizzes, there's grit quizzes. If you're familiar with Angela Duckworth's book and work, there's gratitude quizzes, confidence quizzes, and so forth. So it's a great way of just getting a sense of like where you stand on a lot of these areas, these pillars for your happiness. As you can tell, this program slash video course is very well built out. It goes into some of the subtleties to happiness that Rick Hanson has personally defined as important to your overall well-being. So, it's not just, one or two things. It's stewardship, it's grit, it's pleasure, it's confidence, it's calmness. And there's tons of different video courses on these. If you click into one of these, usually they're quite long. One video could last 20, 30 minutes or even an hour in this case with Tara Brock. Um, I think it's very good, and it kind of lets you just jump through from one to here another if you don't want to follow just the uh, sequential chronological pathway. Like let's say you want to just go straight into a live Q&A. You can look at the archive of previously recorded live Q&As. He's been doing this for a while, so there's tons and tons of them here. And then you can just go straight to one of these resources if you're sick of going sequentially. So you can click the get the most out of the program link, and they'll give you a video tour, um, and it'll give you some steps on what you can do, um, and some frequently asked questions. Um, so it can kind of guide you on how to go through each of these steps. So let's say um, you're curious about whether or not it is self-paced or if you need to catch up. It'll answer that question and say there's no such thing as falling behind. And then let's say you have a question on resetting your password or credit card billing or downloading to iTunes. It gives you specific steps, even slideshow steps to figure out how to do that. Um, and so I think it's pretty well built out. Um, and there's even a section right below the pathway at the top where you go to next on your path, where you can just jump back to what you recently visited. Say you've completed one of the videos, but you want to rewatch it because you want a refresher or it was just such a good video. You can just go back to it and watch it. So some of these are pretty bite-sized. This one's 12 minutes long, which is doable. I think it would be even better if they did like um, if they used the other system that isn't Vimeo. I think it's not YouTube. It's like Vidler or something. Maybe it's not Vidler, but there's another system that's not Vimeo, and I like that system better because it allows you to watch and listen to videos at 2x speed or 1.5x speed, and I've just become so used to that, and it just makes these hour-long videos much more digestible, especially when you have 100, different modules to go through. Um, it just helps you get through it much quicker. Of course, you could download it in audio and then put it in iTunes and sync it to your phone and then listen to it through the audiobook system. But there's a couple extra steps in there that I didn't mention, and that's a bit of a hassle. So really like how it's laid out so far, but I think there's still some room for improvement. Maybe there's a bit too many videos, and the goal is for us to get better at this. The goal is not to overwhelm ourselves with too many videos that we don't have time for. But nonetheless, let's say you want to click into the more good stuff section. There's even dividers that will let you look at the science behind it. So if you're more focused on the science behind foundations of well-being, there's this section here. And rather than following a pathway, you can just take a look at well, why is Rick Hanson credible? Like, why should I listen to what he has to say about this? And what does the science actually have to say? Then there's links to the papers. There's a link to a handout on the brain. There's specific, like, actual scientific studies with publication dates and authors that you can read for more details on it. And you can look at the benefits of doing this. I mean, being happy is pretty self-explanatory, but not only do you feel better, you can live longer, according to this 2010 study. Can you actually change? Well, yes, you can. According to this study, beyond the hedonic treadmill in 2006, you can change. And then this one's talking about the knowable basis of key competencies of emotional intelligence in 2009. So clearly, you can see this, and then there's even like this cool infographic here that goes into how you have 100 billion neurons and how you know, adding up all these possible combinations, you have many potential states for your neural network. I mean, an entire universe for your brain's potential. So, it goes into some cool detail in a digestible, fun, visual way. So there's a bunch of, I guess you could call them bonuses and different ways you can slice and dice this video course. For me personally, and for most of us, we'll probably just be clicking here constantly on what's next on the path. Finishing the last video and then just clicking on to the next one. And if we really want to, I'm sure we can just, skip ahead to one section that we really want to. Let's say we were like, screw this, we're not following all of these steps. I just want to jump down to the uh, intimacy section because I know I have problems with my intimacy. Well, you can do that. You can click on this drop down and then you can go to the creative number one module or video and then just start listening and watching to that. Sometimes I'll just be I'll play this video and listen to it while I'm doing something else. So I'm not even watching it. That usually works for like more interview style videos where there's just a face and they're not really doing anything. For more in-depth videos like this one where it seems like he's like actually drawing something out on paper and rearranging it, that's something where you probably have to actually watch as well. But usually that's not the case. Usually it's just him talking to a camera like this talking head video. Um, I really think there's a lot you can do this. He calls it a buffet, so you can slice and dice it how you want. You can watch what you want. You can jump to the bonus videos first. You can jump to the science first. If you just like interviews, you can follow the interview one. You could go at your own pace. Maybe it's just 1 hour every month. But it's mainly just about taking care of yourself. Um, so that's my review of it. I think the really biggest and only thing I have an issue with is uh, just how extensive it is. I do like this how it's tailored, so tailored for you, so you know what's next on your path and what's sequential for you to get better. But I mean, this looks just a bit overwhelming for me. I think that's what's been stopping me from completing everything. It's just a ton of stuff you have to get through, and then you lose track of like what you've done already, and then it's not a simple system for like when you're out in the real world and you're like, I'm not feeling happy. Like, which do I look at? Do I look at vitality? Do I look at learning, self-caring, calmness? It's just too much on your mental checklist, but um, I do think this program will help you, and that's really my only major critique with it. Um, Other than that, I think it's really well built out. So there you go. Check it out. I'll leave a link in below this video in the description if you're watching on YouTube, or in the article if you're watching on my reading my article. Um, and that link will take you to this video course, and it's an affiliate link. So if you purchase through my link, I get a commission at no extra cost to you.